Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders, man. Got some good stuff to talk to you guys about today. Look, it's basically the off season for me. College football, in off season, basketball in off season, transfer portal still in effect for both. Although they've closed, guys are still out there and can still join a team. So teams are still putting a roster together. But today we're going to talk about one of those teams and one of those schools that have fully leaned into the transfer portal. That is Texas Tech. The Texas Tech Red Raiders, people, are they about to explode on the national scene? We're going to talk a little bit about that today and where I see where Texas Tech currently is and where they might go. But before we get started, as always, remember to like, follow, subscribe, trying to get to that 4,000 mark before the football season starts. Continue to get in those comments and always hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So let's get started here. First thing about Texas Tech, let's talk about football. Joey McGuire, good football coach. I think Texas Tech has been on the cusp several different times, but this is the year. Now, I said this a few days ago, and I said, this is a make or break year for Joey McGuire. I didn't mean that he was going to get fired. So I'm not saying that, hey, it's a make or break year on whether they're going to fire Joey. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it's time to get over the hump. I'm saying enough's enough. Enough of coming close. Enough of just being, right there. It's time to get over the hump. And that's, the grass tacks of it for me is that no more getting close. No more talking about how you're supposed to be good. It's time to just be good, to be that team, be in Arlington. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that Texas Tech should move on from Joey McGuire. So if that's what you got from that, I apologize because I didn't mean that. I didn't say that, but that wasn't even what I was implying. I'm just saying it's time to get over the hump. It's time to be a consistently good football team, and it starts this year. Look, there's no secret on what they have done in the transfer portal with NIL. It's no secret the type of talent that they have put together on this football team. They, on paper, may have the most talented team in the Big 12. And if that is the case, that they have the most talented team, then you got to win. Otherwise, you have to start looking at different things. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain factors that come into play when it comes to winning. It isn't just, okay, you have the most talented team. We all know the injury bug, the injury gods. God forbid nobody in the entire country. I don't want anybody ever getting hurt anywhere. I know it's a part of it, but you still don't want to see it happen. But that's part of it. Got to stay healthy. Got to have some luck when it comes to that. But you also have to play well, and there are other good, talented teams within this conference. They give out scholarships at BYU, at Iowa State, at Oklahoma State, at Utah. They give out scholarships there too. So it's not like you're playing against a bunch of walk-ons and a bunch of teams that aren't talented. You are. So you have to be able to beat them. But part of that is also coaching, schemes, schematics. What are you going to do? It's just time for Tech to be good. And again, you look at it on paper and what they've done, they've put together a team that should be in a lot of senses the most talented team in the Big 12. Now, again, only 11 can play at a time, 22 if you want to say offense or defense. But I think that's what we've seen as far as football, with attrition. You got to have talent. You got to have depth. It seems like Texas Tech has both of those things. Now, are they going to be able to put it together on the football field and make it happen? I think this is the year that we see if they're going to be able to do that. Because if not now, I guess the question is when. And I know some people may say, well, you can't just put it all on one season. Well, it hasn't just been one season. It'd be one thing if Tech just joined the Big 12. It'd be another if Tech, they've never even been good. And now this is the first year that they've ever been good. That's not the case. This is the year. that they have to put this thing together. And I'm not saying that if they don't, that it'll never happen. But my question, like I mentioned a second ago, if not now, when? If you can't win the conference or at least be in the conversation, and when I mean be in the conversation, going to Arlington when you have the most talented roster in the league, if you can't do it then, when can you do it? And yes, I get you got to have some things go your way. We mentioned all those just a second ago, but it's time for Tech to put it together. You know, they have to capitalize on this fall on what they have done. It's time to capitalize on it. Their schedule's not easy. Like I mentioned, they give out scholarships to other Big 12 schools too. They don't have an easy schedule, but who does? In this conference, like who has an easy schedule? We don't know who's going to be good from year to year. Some teams that, like we mentioned last year, we thought were going to be awful, won the league. Team we thought were going to win the league, they were awful. So you don't even know, which is why I love the conference so much, is because you have no clue from week to week who's going to be good. Now let's move on to the basketball side of this. I think Texas Tech is there. Look, yeah, they haven't won a national championship, but they've been to a Final Four. Hell, they've been to a final game within the last 5 years. So that's there. They were in the Elite Eight. I'm sorry, Tech fans. You gave this one away to Florida. You did. You had them. You had them, and you gave it away. I know that stinks. Maybe you don't agree. That's fine. You don't have to agree. But you had the game. But besides that, Tech's there. They're at that level. Hell, they lost a coach who you didn't fire him. He just left, thought he had a better job opportunity. And I'm not even going to go into that. Either way, didn't miss a beat. Some might say you got better. And I would tend to agree. You got better. I think he's a better coach. I think McCaslin's a better coach than Beard. Some may disagree with that. That's okay. We don't have to agree. But your situation, you're doing just fine. And I love where they are as far as basketball. I love the fans of Texas Tech basketball. You know, that is a nasty place to play. And I'm not saying that playing there in football is some cakewalk either, because it absolutely isn't. I just love the fan base of Texas Tech in general, because it's a nasty fan base. And when I say nasty, I don't mean vile or anything. I just mean it's a difficult place to play. That's what I mean by nasty place to play. That, you know, you don't go there and get the warm, fuzzy feeling. Like when you go to Utah, Utah fans are passionate, but you can get a little bit of a warm, fuzzy feeling, even though they don't want you to score a basket. They don't want you to score a point in football, and they want to blow you out. You can get a little bit of a warm, fuzzy feeling. It's a little hostile, yes. At Tech, it's very hostile. And you guys know me. I love hostile. You know, and again, this is not a slighted BYU fan saying it's not a tough play. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is you're going to get some venom when you go to Texas Tech. And there ain't anything wrong with venom, not in my eyes. You know, there's nothing wrong with venom. There's nothing wrong with being nasty. Cuss a guy out, running off the court. Cuss a guy out, running off the football field. I don't mind that at all. Now, depending on some of the things that you might say, Arizona fans, that's something totally different. But, hey, get nasty. Don't throw anything. Don't do that. You know, you don't have to be that fan. But I love the passion that Tech fans have. I think it's great. I love it. I do. I mean, you get mad about some cussing, okay, you should probably not watch. I can tell you that right now. You're mad that fans are cussing at the opposing team, then don't watch. Again, it can go overboard at certain places, Arizona, but I've experienced Texas Tech as a player and as a fan. It didn't go overboard for me. Tough, but life is tough, but didn't go overboard. I like where they're sitting. I like that they've leaned into the transfer portal, you know, just like football. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Not only have they leaned into it, the fans of Texas Tech have leaned into it. See, there's so many fans out there that talk about NIL and the transfer portal, and they get bent out of shape and they say, well, it's ruined college athletics. I don't think Texas Tech fans are part of that. I think they're like, look, this is what it is. We accept what it is. We don't necessarily have to like it, but we accept that this is what college athletics is. We're going to try to get the best possible team that we can from one year to the next. Whatever that happens to be. If we keep a bunch of guys, if we get a bunch of transfers, whatever it happens to be, that's what we're going to do. We're going to lean into that. I think Texas Tech fans have accepted that. They understand that that's how the game is played, and they're going to lean into it and try to do whatever they can to win. Now, there's some people that don't believe that you can play ball that way. First of all, basketball, you absolutely can, and Tech has proven it. I mean, how many times they go into the transfer portal and they've gotten better and better and better. I think Tech's going to be even better this year in basketball. I really do. And they lost key guys from a team, from an Elite 8 team. I think they're going to be better. I really do, man. I think they're going to be a better basketball team this year. Transfer portal, man, it works if you do it the right way. But more importantly, I think the fans have just accepted it and they lean into it. And that's good for the overall athletic program. It's good for Texas Tech that they have leaned into it. Speaking of the program, financially, look, I don't know all the numbers at Texas Tech. I don't know the donors at Texas Tech. But the one thing that I do know is that with this new case, the NCAA case that's going to be settled, the House versus the NCAA, that's going to be settled, Tech's going to be in good shape. Tech, with their donors and what is it, the Red Raider Club and the Matador Club and just the school itself, they're going to be able to pay the bill. Heck, Tech's not even talking about canceling any sports. They're like, yeah, this thing could go up to $30 million a year. We're going to be fine. So if you're going to be fine financially, you're leaning into NIL, you're leaning into the transfer portal. Look, Tech is setting itself up to be a big-time player. Because, look, the fact of the matter is every school in the Big 12 is not leaning into all of this. They're not leaning into the $20 to $30 million payout. They're not leaning into NIL and the transfer portal. They're not leaning into the payout that they're going to have to deal with and cutting sports. They're not leaning into that. Tech is in a good position that it's not just schools in the Big 12. There's other schools all across the country that just aren't going to be prepared. Tech is. I think it's sat out there in Lubbock, Texas by itself within the Big 12 for a couple of decades. Now it's not all by itself because of who you've brought into the conference, which is a good thing. And I think Tech is set up to explode if they can do it right. I think they are absolutely set up to explode and be a national player. Tech is one of those schools that a lot of people didn't think that they could take and be the brand of the Big 12 because of what, it sat in the shadows for years. It did. Sat in the shadows of Texas, A&M, Oklahoma. They haven't won a Big 12 title. Hell, they haven't even been to one. And that's where I think it starts, and that's where it could change. Tech wins the Big 12 this year in football. Look out. I'm just telling you, look out. The doors will open. They already have a huge donor base. I think it'll open up even more. I think people are just begging for Tech. At least Tech fans are just saying, you know what? We got an opportunity. Why not us? Why are we talking about everybody else? We're not under the thumb of a Texas anymore. We're not under that thumb. Now, I know that's going to piss a lot of Tech fans off, but let's just be honest. You were. The whole damn conference was under the thumb of Texas. It's not just you. It was everybody was under their thumb. They're not under that anymore. And I think they are happy that they left. I think now this gives them a chance to blossom, a chance to grow, but they got to win this thing. Now, that's a lot of pressure. I totally understand. But life is about pressure, man. I say that to people all the time. I'm like, look, life is pressure. You got to get good grades. You got to get a good job. You got to make some money, support a family, support yourself, whatever it is. That's pressure. Okay? So winning football games, if it was just easy, everybody would do it. It's pressure. Okay, great. But now you got to go make it happen anyway. And I think they're set up to do that. I think the whole athletic department at Texas Tech is set up to do that. I know I'm only talking about football and basketball, but again, we're all realists here. That's what drives this thing. Football first, basketball second. Period. End of story. And Tech is right there on the cusp, man. They are. But they got to do it in football. They got to make it work. They got to make it happen. Because if they can, the perception of the entire athletic department and what they talk about and the branding of Texas Tech goes through the roof. It absolutely goes through the roof. So I'm ready to see it happen. I'm ready to see it happen. I think they got great fans out there. They have a great atmosphere out there. I think Texas Tech is literally on the cusp of exploding. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing because we need somebody to take it by the horns. It doesn't always have to be them. It could be multiple teams. But I think Texas Tech is right there for the taking, people. Watch out. If they can make this thing work in football this year, whew, I feel like the floodgates are going to open for that university, man. I really, really do. So appreciate you guys. That's all I got for you guys today. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. See you later.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.